Hey guys, welcome back to Luke's Garage. Today we're sitting in the GMC and I have a heater core leak, and it's pretty easy to tell because my carpet down here was wet after the car was on, and telltale sign, I had smoke coming out of my defrost vents and it smelled like sin. Yeah. So anyways, pulling back the carpet down here again on the passenger side, could very easily see, I'll take you under there in a second, that I have a leak in the heating core, which is fine because I already have the dash all apart. It's pretty easy to take apart anyways, so if you have to do this, it doesn't take too long, 3-4 hours, just some time. So anyways, let's get to the fun stuff. I'll take you under this dash, I'll take you in the engine bay, and we'll replace this heating core and see if she works in the end. In the engine bay, on the passenger side, you have your blower motor, and then you have obviously the AC. And there are three 11 millimeter or 7/16 speed nuts in here that you need to remove. First one is right here on top of this unit. And then there are two underneath. There's one right back here. Then I'll try and get the camera under here. There we go. I'm trying to see them on my camera. There we go, and you can see it's leaking under there, so you get that one. Come out slow, and it is, if you're looking at the top of the AC box, it's just right under this corner right there. And then if you got your heater hoses, it should be tucked right there, that little gray spot right there. It's like looking in the Titanic. But anyways, easy to get to. You just need 3 or 4 extensions, and you can get back there and take those off pretty easy. I recommend putting some PB Blaster on them because they will break. I already broke one. They're easy to repair if you do break them. You just put another bolt through the back side of the housing, just run it through here and screw it back down. I'll take you to the cab now and show you how to take all the plastics inside of the cab apart. This is a pretty easy install, just take some time. So I'm sitting on the passenger side of the vehicle. My passenger seat luckily is out. One of the dead giveaways that I could tell that this heating core was leaking is the obvious you see on a lot of people's videos. It's all wet. I would have not noticed this. The big telltale sign on this vehicle was up here, my defrost vents. There was smoke coming out of them, and it smelled really bad. Smelled like an old mouse nest, which I half think when I open this thing up, I'm going to find a bunch of dead mice. So that's always a possibility because this thing has been sitting in a barn for the last 7 years, and I've already pulled out a bunch of mice nests. Gross. But anyways, the first things you need to do is you need to remove that bolt right back there. We'll disconnect all of this linkage up on here with my mouse poop. So, sign of the mice. And then we'll get up in the engine bay. There are 3 11 millimeter speed nuts that you have to remove as well. And then you should be able to take this whole unit and pull it out towards where I'm sitting right now, and it'll come out. I'm just kind of fish it out of there. It's kind of a pain, but with a little finesse, it's easy to work out of there. We need to disconnect the heater hoses, so follow the one from your radiator and then the one from your block. These go up to the heater core, which is, if I zoom out to give you guys reference, so blower motor, AC, come right in, and these hook directly into the heater core. One hose is larger than the other, so remember that when you replace these. If you use existing, just remember which one went where. I'd put a little piece of duct tape on them, or with Sharpie right upper and lower. Just make it easy on yourself, but I'm going to replace these hoses. So you just undo your bands, slide those back, and then these hoses pull off and coolant leaks out, so be ready for that. And so I'll disconnect these now and come back and show you what it looks like with them disconnected. Okay, heater hoses disconnected. Again, I'm going to replace those. Now this thing is ready to go. We can come around inside of the cab. I'll reposition the camera on a tripod so it's steady and show you how to remove the box from the inside. But we've removed all of our 3 bolts. I already showed you where those were. Yeah, so let's give it the old-fashioned tug on the other side and see what happens. The final bolt that we want to remove connects this lower blend door assembly to the defrost vents, and so it's this guy right here. As soon as we undo that bolt, it is an 8mm. This whole thing will be loose. We've disconnected everything from the other side. I have not disconnected my door, my blend door, push rod, pull rods, any of the vacuum assemblies yet. Once I have some slack in this, I will pull this down and use a Sharpie to mark exactly where all of my existing assembly is set, so that I make sure to put it back exactly the same way that I found it. Here is the part that everybody always leaves out in their videos, how to remove this. So once you have all of your bolts removed, like I've shown you previously, what you want to do is just work your fingers up and create a seal. You want to create a separation between the firewall and this blend door assembly, and you just grab it and pull. Like so. Now it is loose. You can obviously see, if we look in there, all of the components. So that's part of my air conditioning system. There's the holes from the heating core. I can't think right now. There's all that mouse crap. So what we'll want to do is get our Sharpie out and just mark various points. So when you take this assembly off, you know exactly where it went. Same with any of these push and pull rods. Oh, it smells like mouse. You guys should be here. This is epic. So we'll disconnect these vacuum lines. So I've got various vacuum lines. I got a vacuum pot right back there. So just make sure everything you disconnect, you put back exactly how you had it. And again, I recommend using a Sharpie on everything, just to draw little arrows and make sure that they line right back up. So what I'll do is work on disconnecting all these push-pull rods that are tied up to this guy, so I can pull this out and clean it and see if there's any little my mouse buddies dead in here. So once I get this out and cleaned up, I will bring you back to this assembly and what it looks like out of the truck and how we replace the actual core. So I've got a decent vacuum yet. I just thought I'd bring you guys back to, oh, gross. There it is. This is why my truck smells like mice every single time I start it up. It is gross, and I'm sure that there are dead mice in there, so I'm going to vacuum out that before I move anything out. And we're going to be breathing a lot cleaner air in this vehicle. Gross. I have to keep bringing you guys back. This is epic. Look at this thing. It's so gross. But that explains a hell of a lot. So what I'll do is, again, vacuum out this nest. This door right here obviously cannot function because there's a big mouse nest in the way that was connected in there. So what we'll do is vacuum that out, and again, I will disassemble this push rod. I will take these little vacuum lines off this pot, and I'll clean this thing up, and we'll have a little look at it and a tutorial on how it works and what it does and how to clean it up nice and make it function properly. So with the blend box out, you want to grab your what is that, 1/4 inch socket, and what I do is go around the outside of this thing. I think there was 6 here, I don't know, and then there's one down in there, and then on the other side as well. What you do to open this up to get the core out is this little window on top. You pop this up, and then this assembly falls down inside, so you can actually pull this housing off. And then all you do is grab the back and pull it up, and it'll snap right up. So this is really gross, so I've been cleaning it before everything, but man, it's pretty filthy. I don't know, mice are gross. I don't know if I do it for anybody else, but I'm not a fan. So what I'm gonna do is take this coil out, make sure, gross. I'm gonna clean the inside of that really well so it's like new, because I don't want to know that I put a nasty old thing back in a truck. So let me spend a long time doing that, and I'll bring you back to installing the fun part, the new clean stuff, and I'll pick up where I get cleaned off. Here are the two heater cores side by side. Obviously this is the old one, and the bottom is leaking. I can't really tell where. I really don't care at this point, but nasty. As with any part, set them side by side, make sure that they're the same part, which they are, so I'm happy with that. We will go to the installation of this new guy. I'm going to change these gloves and get some clean stuff on, because this is really gross. So let me do that. The new heater core is installed, and the way you do that is there is a little clip right there. So the back side of that clip holds the back side of the heater core, and then there is this strap right here, goes along the bottom and bolts right into there. That socket size is 1/4 inch, so you just tighten that guy back down and it's installed. So then you just close this housing back up, same way you took it apart. So the box is all snapped together. We are ready to replace all of our little 1/4 inch bolts. So this was, now that it's back together, I can show you one of the control arms for one of the blend doors. And so in order to take this apart, this housing, once you take all your bolts out, you line this guy up with these grooves, and then you separate these two so that it goes up over it, and then this whole thing will unsnap. So that's all there is to that. I will put these bolts back in, and then we will reinstall this. This channel is missing the original gasket. It was on there when I took it off, but it was just old. So I recommend, they sell this at the auto parts store, just a new gasket to create the seal when you put it back on the truck. So it's just a stick and peel gasket, and it just fits down in there like so. And just like that, have a brand new gasket, and you go around this whole box and all these channels. We are ready to install the box. The first thing I do is hook up the blend door assembly. So the easiest way to do this, if you guys didn't mark your locations with your Sharpie like I said early on, obviously come up to your climate controls. So as I, wrong one. So I'll show you what I'm doing. So as I move hot to cold, doing that. And so your blend door is opening to cold or to your coil hot. So push it all the way cold. There you go. And make sure your door corresponds. So right now it's shutting off all the heat, which is in here. And that's the easiest way to set that. It's not very hard. So what these three are is 1/4 inch bolts. So I screw this on first. And then get ready with you have 3 vacuum lines. The one with this little curly hook goes on this guy on the front of what your pot would be, and then the corresponding straight one goes right there. And then there's also another one right back here that goes on this pot as well. So you want to make sure all three of those are hooked up too. So we'll get those hooked up, and then you just take this whole assembly. I'll set up my tripod and show you, but you just fit it up through each of the holes like you did when you took it off. The final portion of this install, I bought brand new hoses. Again, what you want to do is make sure that you have the smallest hose going to the smallest port, which on this Chevy 350 is on the engine block, and it comes over to our new heater core, and obviously the small one is on the bottom. And the same thing with the other heater hose right there. And these are, I believe, a 5/8 inch hose, which is that little guy right there. And then our other one is 3/4 inch, so right there. And that one obviously goes from my radiator to the top port on the heater core. So once you connect those, what you do, I'm gonna obviously refill coolant because some drained out when I took these hoses off, but I'm also going to, on this motor, it needs a couple things. It needs a new upper and lower radiator hose, which I have to install. So I'm going to actually drain this whole system because I don't want all this garbage coolant going through my new hoses and my new heater core. So anyways, guys, hope this was super helpful for you.